Good afternoon. My name is Kuya Vern, and we'll be talking today Usapang Pangkabataan. It's about youth talks, about youth issues, and particularly on pass or fail. Pag pinag-usapan natin ang tungkol sa pass or fail, of course, when we pass things and tayo ay tuwang-tuwa, but when we fail, that's another thing. At sa mga kabataan, ay iba ang ibig sabihin nito at maganda na pag-usapan natin dahil ito ay isang bagay na maaaring nagpapahirap sa isip or nakaka-stress sa kabataan lalo sa panahon ng pandemic. Sa mga kabataan, bakit ang failure ay nakakatakot? But of course, hindi lang nakakatakot, but pag tinignan natin sa kabilang party ay ito rin ay beneficial. Of course, mas madaming maituro na lessons kasi sa buhay ang failure sa kabataan kaysa sa puro ito success. Maganda rin na matutunan natin ang tungkol sa failure. Bakit nag-fail at para saan ito? Anong may tutulong sa atin ang failure? Kaya sa mga nanonood ngayon sa aking live stream, ito ay hindi para lang sa kabataan, even sa mga magulang na nandyan na may mga anak. At minsan hindi maintindihan kung ano ang pinagdadaanan ng kanilang mga anak. Kaya maganda na mapanood nyo ang live stream na ito, ang discussions tungkol sa usapang pangkabataan, tungkol ito sa failure or paano ba i-handle ang fail. Ano bang epekto nito sa kabataan? At kapag isang kabataan ay bumagsak sa anumang bagay, either in a competition or sa exam or sa pag-ibig, ano ang epekto nito sa kabataan? So magandang pag-usapan natin ito. Kailangan lang, of course, matuto ang isang kabataan kung paano harapin ng tama ang failure o kapalpakan. Dahil hindi maiwasan, lahat tayo ay galing sa kabataan natin at hindi natin maililingid na sa bilang isang kabataan, marami po tayong pinagdaanan at lalong-lalo na sa kapalpakan. At minsan pinagtatawanan o kaya nagiging katatawanan yung kapalpakan, pero hindi natin alam na marami palang epekto ito sa ating pag-iisip, sa ating behavior, sa ating pagkatao. At lalo na sa klase ng takbo ng pag-iisip na gusto natin in the future. At ayaw natin na maging basihan at pundasyon ng kapalpakan ng buhay natin. Kaya habang bata pa, sa mga nanonood dyan, gustong manood, magandang pag-usapan natin ang tungkol sa kapalpakan. So, why failure is so scary? Bakit ba nakakatakot pumalpak or bumagsak? Bakit ba nakakatakot ang failure? Kasi maaaring kagustuhan matupad ang mataas na pangarap ng magulang, mataas ang pressure na galing sa magulang, at hindi natin kayang makamit yung expectation ng magulang sa buhay natin. Kaya sa sobrang taas ng expectation nila, minsan nakakatakot. Lalo na kapag yung kabataan, alam niya yung kanyang kapasidad parang hindi niya kayang abutin. Or maaaring kagustuhang maipakita na maayos ang buhay o kaya okay, or katanggap-tanggap, lalo na sa social media. Kaya maaaring yan yung isang pressure na nagdadala, may peer pressures dahil may gustong i-prove maaaring isang kabataan sa kanyang mga kaibigan, lalo na sa mga Facebook, sa anumang klaseng social media na meron siya. At minsan pasikatan, at wala siyang may pasikat, kaya gusto na lang mag-create ng isang bagay na maaaring mapansin siya at mapuri siya. So, it's a peer pressures. Yung academic pressure din, ang nag-aaral, sa mga estudyante na nag-aaral, na nag-uumpisa mula ng high school at lalo na nung pagpasok sa college. Siyempre sa high school, medyo parang okay pa yung pag-aaral dahil maraming barkada, maraming extracurricular activities. Pero pagdating ng college, medyo iba yung hamon, iba yung mga challenges. At maaaring yung iniisip mo na baka di ka makagraduate or makahanap ng maayos na trabaho na satisfied ka. So, yun yung mga pressure. Bakit ayaw natin, bakit nakakatakot ang failure. And of course, kapag ka ganun ang sitwasyon ng bata na natatakot siya or nag-aalangan siya at maaaring sabihin natin yung sasabihin natin ng mga magulang siguro kasi ganito ang kinalakihan niyang klase ng pamilya, ang background niya. Well, partly, pero maraming factor kung bakit ang bata ay ganyan ang behavior matatakotin. And most likely, sabihin natin na ang parents, maaaring mali din yung orientation sa bata, either sobrang protection, dahil ayaw nila na mahirapan yung bata. Ayaw nila na magkaroon ng discomfort yung bata. May mga sinasabi pa ng magulang na hindi dadanasin ng aking anak yung aking mga nadanas nung ako ay bata pa or yung paghihirap na meron ako ngayon. So most likely parang may ganong klase ng pag-iisip ang magulang na ayaw nilang iparanas o ayaw nilang maranasan ng kanilang anak yung kanilang paghihirap na where in fact kaya ka naging maayos na magulang dahil sa mga karanasan mo sa buhay. At sa sobrang pag-aalala natin sa ating mga anak, ayaw natin silang saktan or mahirapan, kaya ayaw natin silang paggawin ng ano pa mang medyo challenging sa buhay nila habang bata sila. Which actually, hindi sila nabigyan ng magandang pundasyon dahil hindi sila natuto nung sila ay bata pa. Hindi nila alam kung ano ang pagiging responsable. Hindi sila naturuan maaari ng mga tamang-tama o tamang trabaho or tamang pag-appreciate or pag-engage doon sa mga trabaho sa tahanan sa na medyo challenging na medyo mahirapan at masaktan sila or medyo malagay sila sa situation na ayaw nila at nasanay sila doon sa happy-go-lucky na klase ng buhay. At kapag ka ganong happy-go-lucky ang sistema na kinalakihan ng bata, ay mahirapan po siya sa kanyang mga challenges later on. Kaya makita nyo yung behavior ng bata kapag elementary or high school yan, yung medyo mababa yung insecure yung bata, yung mababa yung kanyang confidence. Makikita mo yung indicators na yung bata umuupo doon sa likuran ng paaralan, yung likuran ng hindi, malayo sa teacher. Laging nasa backseaters at ayaw nilang umupo doon sa harap dahil wala parang hindi nila kayang i-overcome yung teacher nila. Kapag yung teacher nila ay medyo mabagsik at mapuna at parang nakakatakot minsan magsalita, hindi kayang i-overcome ng bata yung ganong klase ng salita at kaya gusto niyang umupo doon sa likuran. Medyo nagtatago, ika nga. And nakikita natin yung mga indicators na yun na yung bata ay mababa ang kanyang confidence, pagtingin at tiwala sa kanyang sarili. Okay? So, with that, nasa pag-umpisa pa lang tayo. At ang failure, nakakatakot talaga kapag hindi ito na-overcome ng tama at malaki ang epekto nito sa isipan ng bata. Okay? At ayaw natin na mangyari yan. Ika nga, sabi ni Jessica Leahy, out of love and desire to protect our children's self-esteem, we have bulldozed every uncomfortable bump and obstacle out of their way, clearing the manicured path we hope would lead to success and happiness. Kasi nga sa sobrang pag-iingat na ayaw natin sila ma-discomfort, ay inalis na natin lahat-lahat yung mga obstacle na pwede nilang daanan. At nasa tingin natin, magtatagumpay sila. Pero mali po yan. According kay Jessica Leahy, mali pong kapamaraanan yun dahil inalisan nila atin sila ng karapatan na maging matibay habang bata pa sila. Na habang bata pa sila, murang edad, kailangang matutunan nila harapin yung mga hamon sa buhay kasi ito ang maging pundasyon ng kanilang pag-iisip, damdamin, buong pagkatao para harapin yung mga problema at mga challenges, hamon sa buhay na maaaring kaharapin nila kapag sila ay adult na. Kaya may purpose kung bakit kailangang matutunan at maranasan ng bata yung mga paghihirap or sitwasyon na kailangan niyang harapin. Na nawa ang mga magulang ay hindi nila ito ipagkait sa kanilang mga anak. It's okay na masaktan ng inyong anak. Okay? Malalayan nyo lang na of course hindi siya mapahamak. Pero it's okay na masaktan siya. It's okay na makita nyo na maghirap siya konti. Matuto siya sa loob ng tahanan. Matuto siya sa mga hamon sa buhay. Yung mga exams, mga quizzes. Hindi nyo kailangan, pwede nyo siyang gabayan, pero hindi nyo kailangan kayo ang gagawa. Lalo nga yung mga module ng mga bata, parents ang sumasagot. Sila na rin ang nagsusulat. So, wala. Ano ngayon matutunan ng bata? Kaya mahirap. Okay? So, ang mga bata, children who don't get the chance to deal with obstacles themselves grow up into teenagers who suffer from what's known as failure deprivation. So, yung mga bata na hindi nakaranas ng obstacle, mahirap, trabaho, ay ang tawag doon ay failure deprivation. Hinalisan mo ng karapatan yung bata na mag-fail. At dahil hindi siya nag-fail, hindi siya dumanas ng paghirap, hindi niya sinalo mo lahat, failure deprivation yun. At yung failure deprivation, inalisan mo siya ng karapatan na mag-fail. At dahil inalisan natin sila ng karapatan na mag-fail, ang tingin ngayon nila sa failure is negative. Hindi nila maisip na ang failure is part ng buhay para maging matibay sila. Kaya ang tingin nila sa failure is totally negative. Na well, hindi naman totally negative. Actually, napakaganda na may purpose, may part ang failure para sa buhay ng isang tao. So, and this of course will resulted in mental health among students, lalo sa mga estudyante, and depression, and incidents of self-injury, and suicidal. At lalong-lalo na ngayon, ang suicidal ay nag-i-increase sa kabataan dahil nahirapan silang arukin or isipin na failure sila. Dahil nga nung murang edad sila, na-deprive sila para mag-fail. Kaya tuloy, ang tingin nila sa failure ay kapalpakan or totally masama. Okay? So, ang kabataang dumaan sa hirap at natutong magsumikap ay magiging matatag. Ika nga. Kaya kung bagsak o mababa man, or failure man ang karamihan na nagagawa ng bata, that's okay, makakabawi rin later on. Lahat tayo ay nanggaling sa bagay na yan. At we know na yung mga lessons natin nung tayo ay nag-fail ay malaki ang naitulong nitong bagay nito sa atin. So paano natin i-normalize ang failure? There are new ways to normalize failure. At ito yung pagbabago ng isip. Change of mindset that there is value and purpose of failure. Baguhin po natin yung pag-iisip na meron pong value, meron pong halaga at purpose ng failure. Kaya huwag po tayong matakot mag-fail. Ano po may tuturo sa atin ng failure? What failure will teach us? Failure will teach you on how to take risk. Kaya po kayong turuan ng failure, ang failure ay tuturuan ka niya kung paano ka mag-take ng risk para hindi ka matatakotin so that you can build your confidence. You can build your exposure, your posture and you can build your own total person in terms of the way you think, the way you feel, the way you talk, the way you relate with other people. So you can take risk. And yun yung may tutulong sa atin ng failure. Kaya huwag kayong matakot mag-fail. So failure will also teach you on how to decide better on the next time. Ang failure ay tuturuan ka kung paano mag-decide ng mas maayos sa susunod na panahon. Kung mali yung decision mo ngayon, sa susunod, mas maging matalino ka na. Ika nga, it's part of the process. Na sa umpisa, we tend to commit fails, we will fail. And hindi lang isang beses yan, dalawang beses, tatlong beses. We will fail so many times. And then, matututo tayo along the process. And not only that, of course, failure can also lead us or lead you to stand stronger. Okay? Failure can lead you to stand stronger. You can be more stronger when you have experienced fail or failure. At totoo po yan that maraming makakapagsabi ng mga adult ngayon yan na they became more stronger, they became the person they are right now because of the many lessons they learned from their previous failures. And failure can totally challenges you to be better person. So failure challenges you to be better person. You can become a better person. You can be challenges through failure. And of course, failure has a role. Meron pong meron pong papel o role ng failure sa pag-fail sa buhay natin. And paano tayo magre-react sa failure? How do we react sa failure kapag nag-fail ka? Ito yung problema, hindi tayo na yung reaction natin hindi maganda minsan, hindi tama, and hindi maayos. So paano ba tayo mag-react sa fail kapag tayo nag-fail? So not only is it important that kids fail, as that is inevitable, but even more important is how your teen reacts to perceived failure. What they do after a setback allows you to gauge self-esteem and resilience and then work to build on these attributes. Yun yung maganda doon because after failing, you will develop that kind of self-esteem and resilience later on. And you will build a better attributes based on your failure. Okay? So, kung ikaw ay magulang or teacher, observe how your child or student reacts to failure. Then ask yourself these questions. Do they give up rather than trying again? Ang mga estudyante mo ba or anak mo ay madali mag-give up or babangon at susubok ulit? Anong klase silang, ano yung nakikita mong behavior nila? Are there certain activities they avoid out of fear of failure? May mga iniiwasan ba silang activity dahil natatakot sila or nag-aalangan sila? Makita mo yan. You try to observe your students if you are a teacher. Or if you're a parent, try to observe yung anak mo kung ano yung response reaction niya usually sa failure. So when they have a setback, do they blame others? Kapag may pagkakamali sila, biniblame ba nila usually ang ibang tao? Or they will blame themselves? So makikita mo yung mga salita na lumalabas sa kanilang bibig. Or kaya parang nahihiya sila, do they shame themselves? Parang nahihiya na sila. So ano yung indicators na nakikita mo? Are they blamers? Or they blame themselves? Or nahihiya dahil may nagawa? So that's another indicators that you would want to observe to your students or children. Do they only stick with activities they know that they are good at? Nag-stick lang ba sila doon sa laro or activity na alam nila na marunong sila, comfortable sila dahil alam nila yung laro. At yun lang ang gusto nila. Or do they avoid thinking about why something was difficult or didn't work out as they wanted it to? Meron ba silang iniwasan ba nila na mag-isip sa mga bagay na sa tingin nila nahihirapan sila? Ayaw nila na i-take yung challenge. So, kapag ganun yung situation, then may problema ng bata. So if the answer to this question is yes, then your teen may need to reframe how they're looking at failure. Kaya maganda yung tinatawag na mind setting. Kailangan nating i-set up kung at i-change yung mindset ng bata para maging maayos yung kanyang pananaw tungkol sa failure. So paano mag-cope up? How do we cope up with failure? If you are a teenager, how do you cope up with failure? So we have what we call the power of grit or katapangan. So when we work toward a goal, experience failure, and keep on going, we're building what's known as grit. Kapag tayo ay meron tayong isang goal, naka-experience tayo ng failure, pero hinarap natin ito ng tama, then yun, nagpapakita tayo ng katapangan. And that's the way we can cope up and handle or face failure. Okay? So kailangan na may taglay na katapangan. There should be that kind of power of grit. At ang Filipino, usually, either matatakotin or matapang. At typical ang Filipino ay gusto nilang maging matapang. Minsan may mga nagtatapang-tapangan, pero mahina pala sa loob at saka sa kanilang isip. Okay? And aside from that, paano tayo mag-cope up sa failure? People who possess grit or katapangan are more successful over time. Ang mga tao na may taglay na katapangan ay sila ay nakakitaan ng success later on. So of course, furthermore, ang katapangan is a better predictor of success than talent. Okay? Mas maganda na predictor ng success ang katapangan kaysa yung meron kang taglay na talent. May taglay kang talent pero matatakotin ka naman and you don't want to showcase it. So yung talent, kailangan ng katapangan. Kailangan na yung talent, yung may talento, may skills ka, you should also possess some kind of grit or katapangan para may showcase mo ito at ma-build up mo yung personalidad, pag-isip mo, damdamin mo, at buong pagkatao mo. So, paano tayo mag-cope up sa failure? Pangatlo, failure can produce perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Ang failure ay nagpo-produce ng perseverance at passion para sa long-term goals. At para hindi lang puro short-term goals yung meron. We need to have a long-term goals. Anong gusto mong mangyari sa buhay mo? 10 years, 15, 20 years, 30 years from now. So you can project it. And failure can produce that kind of perseverance and passion for you to develop that long-term goals. Okay, you need the stamina to go with that long-term goals para hindi ka madaling mapagod along the process kapag ito ay marami kang failure at hindi pakiramdam mo hindi yata ito matutupad. And of course, the last part is that, but the important, of course, word here is, of course, long-term, and it may be necessary to fall down and get up again and again in order to eventually achieve those goals. Kaya kailangan ng stamina para kapag pumalpak, at kahit ilang beses na pumalpak, hindi basta-basta sumuko doon sa gusto mong mangyari sa buhay. Okay, yun yung long-term goals. Because you have that perseverance and passion to do so. Okay? And sabi ni Angela Duckworth, I worry about people who cruise through life friction-free for a long, long time before encountering their first real failure. They have so little practice falling and getting up again. I see a lot of invisibly vulnerable high achievers stumble in young adulthood and struggle to get up again. I call them the fragile perfects. Sometimes I meet fragile perfects in my office after a midterm or a final. Very quickly, it becomes clear that these bright and wonderful people know how to succeed but not how to fail. Iyan po yung karanasan ni Angela Duckworth. At marami siyang na-meet ng mga tao na ganun, na they are actually want to be successful but they are very poor and very shallow in terms of their exposure in failure. And most of them usually fail. Okay? And how do we grow that kind of mindset in us so that we can be able to cope up with failure? So grit or katapangan is closely related to what Carol Dweck calls the growth mindset. Growth mindset. So people with a growth mindset see their abilities and intelligence as things that can be developed rather than remaining fixed no matter what they do. Moreover, they see failure as a way to develop their abilities. Okay? And Dweck's research shows that the way parents praise their children between the ages of 1 and 3 significantly impacts their mindset later in life. Kaya yung mga magulang, may study na nagpapakita dito na yung 1 year old to 3 years old, according doon sa pag-aaral ni Dweck, ay yung mga magulang na pinupuri lagi yung anak nila doon sa edad na 1 to 3 years old, sila daw yung mag-fail later on. At hindi nila maintindihan bakit sila mag-fail. Sila yung matatakotin na mag-fail. Kaya doon sa 1 year old to 3 years old, maganda na hayaan natin na yung bata, hindi lang maalagaan doon sa laging pinupuri, kundi kapag nakagawa siya ng mali or kapalpak o nakabasag ng baso, maganda na may paliwanag din na it's part of their growth process. Okay? So specifically children who are praised for their intelligence tend to become anxious about making mistakes. Kaya yung napupuri lagi na bata dahil sa kanilang intelligence, nagpapakita na magaling sila, ay sila yung na madaling mapagod o madaling mairita kapag sila ay nakakagawa ng mga mali in the future. Okay, kaya mga magulang magdahan-dahan sa pagpuri o kaya pag palaging sinasabi yung anak sa kanyang kagalingan lalo sa edad na 1 to 3 years old. Kasi madali silang mapagod kapag at mairita kapag sila ay pumalpak. Okay, so but when children are praised for their effort and persistence, they are more likely to enjoy pushing through difficulties. Kaya yung mga bata na pinupuri dahil sa kanilang effort at persistence, sila ay most likely yung mga nag-enjoy at hindi basta-basta bumibigay at very persistent para ma-address yung difficulties na ginagawa nila. So in the growth mindset, students care about learning. When they make a mistake or exhibit a deficiency, they correct it. They correct it. Kinokorek nila ito. So for them, effort is a positive thing. It ignites their intelligence and causes it to grow. In the face of failure, these students escalate their efforts and look for new learning strategies. Okay, yun yung maganda doon sa part ng growth mindset. Yung mga bata nag-e-effort ng gusto at nakaharap or nakamit nila, nag-fail sila. Ito yung mga klase ng mga estudyante na nagpapakita na mas nag-iisip ng mga strategy later on. Na ipaprocess nila ng tama yung mga challenges nila, mga projects or programa na gusto nilang gawin at most likely nagtatagumpay sa kanilang gawain. So how do we cultivate a growth mindset or paglago ng pag-iisip? So according kay Dweck, of course, it is possible to move from fixed mindset when you believe your talents and abilities are limited to a growth mindset. So from fixed mindset to a growth mindset. How can we do that? So there are three things that he recommended. So number one is recognize that you can choose how to react to setbacks. I-recognize daw na you can choose ano yung pipiliin mo para mag-react doon sa mga kapalpakan or setbacks. You can either interpret failures and criticism as signs that you are lacking, or you can see them as opportunities to stretch yourself. Okay, that's number one. Recognition na may mga options that we can choose kung paano mag-react doon sa mga setbacks. And of course, ang recommendation natin dyan is you look on failure as a positive thing, as a part of the process to grow. Number two, let the optimism of your growth mindset conquer the self-doubt of your fixed mindset. Yung optimistic behavior, yung very positive na pag-iisip, ito yung for the growth mindset ay kaya niyang talunin yung pagdududa, yung sa sarili. At alisin yung fixed mindset na tinatawag natin, yung mindset na itinalaga or natutunan natin like yung takot na mag-fail. Yung takot kasi na mag-fail is one example of a fixed mindset. At dito sa optimism, paging optimistic ay maglalago yung pag-iisip natin para talunin niya yung doubt na meron tayo doon sa ating sarili. Okay? So remind yourself that most successful people experience failure along the way, and that you can take responsibility and move forward. Okay, that's the way we can do for being an optimism person. You can grow that mindset you have, and uh, able to manage your self doubt. And third is take action according to the growth mindset. You need to take action, and taking action is one of the recommended uh, recommended thing that every person need to do or act in order to grow a positive mindset. So taking an action, just to take an just to take on challenges and learn from your setbacks. So act on it. Gawa ka, actionan mo. Kapag alam mo na mahina ka, mag-fail ka, nagda-doubt ka na, then ang gagawin mo is to take some actions. Na yung action na yun, ilalagay mo sa isip mo that you can do it, you can overcome it. And you can face all the challenges doon sa mga setbacks. Okay? And of course, with all of those, um, we can also use the self-compassion to navigate failure. So how will we do that? We can use self-compassion to navigate failure. Research shows that people who treat themselves with compassion are more comfortable dealing with challenges and failures. In two studies of university students, researcher Christine Neff, the author of Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself, found that students who were more self-compassionate had better emotional coping skills when confronted with academic failures. So, in addition, here's how NIF research characterizes self-compassion versus self-critical people versus self-compassionate people. So, ito yung study ni NIF. At self-critical people or mapanuri sa sarili, maraming nakikitang kapintasan ng kanyang sarili, tend to be more anxious and depressed. Okay, based on study. And mas madaling mapagod, mas madaling ma-depress yung self-critical people. They are also are more afraid to failure, so sometimes don't even try. Takot sila na mag-fail at ayaw din nilang kalamitan, ayaw nilang subukan. Sasabihin agad nila, hindi ko kaya yan. Iba na lang, siya na lang. Ayun yung makikita nating mga reasons. And of course, they have a very low self-confidence. Mababa ang confidence nila, tiwala nila sa sarili nila, and even tiwala din nila maaari sa iba. And very shy away from identifying areas of improvement. Nahiya siya na sabihin na ito yung area na kailangan kong improve. Okay? So that's the self-critical people. The other one is that there's the self-compassionate people. Ito naman yung tao na mapagmalasakit sa sarili. Is kind in understanding sa kanyang sarili. So ito, he is the person who recognized that failure is inevitable. Hindi may iwasan ang failure. And he see it as a teacher. He see this person, self-compassionate person, sees that failure is a teacher. Okay? At hindi siya basta-basta mapagod, hindi siya masyado nababahala kapag nag-fail siya. Iba yung pananaw niya kasi sa failure. He also, pangatlo, he accept that everyone has imperfections. Tanggap niya na bawat isa ay may imperfections. Hindi lahat perfecto. Tanggap niya na may kahinaan siya. Okay? And the last part is that want to thrive or umunlad and be happy. Gusto niyang may goal siya na mag-thrive siya, umunlad siya at maging happy siya. Gusto niyang umunlad. Gusto niyang maging masaya. Gusto niyang maging mas satisfied siya sa buhay niya. So instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind in understanding when confronted with personal failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? Okay? according to Kristen Neff. Sino bang nagsabi na maging perfecto ka? Wala naman. Baka yan yung expectation sa sarili or maybe yan yung kinalakihan natin na klase ng background, family, dahil yun yung orientation. Pero wala naman eh. You compete to yourself. You are not actually competing with others. So, that's the perception lang yan. So, when it comes to teen mental health, the good news is that teens have the ability to change the way they react to setbacks or sa mga sagabal. Whether they learn to tap into wit or katapangan, self-compassion or pagmamalasakit sa sarili, the growth mindset or paglago ng pag-iisip, or all of these three, it is possible for teens to change their relationship to failure and thus becoming happier and healthier. Kaya that's the challenge now. So it's possible for teenager, for young people to create that good mindset or grow in their mindsetting or change from fixed mindset to growth mindset. Yung napoproseso, alam niyo na ang growth mindsetting is that everything, either failure or mistakes or whatever you call it, your kahinaan, the gray areas, is always all part of the process. But the good thing there is that it's part of growing our mind, our heart, our emotion, our total being. It's part of the process. So don't look on the failure as totally a negative thing because when it plays its role and when a person ay tingnan niya ito ng tama, then the person will benefit a lot. You will grow a lot and you will be more successful later on in your life. You will be more persistent, compassionate, and you will become a better person. Okay? So, with this is your Kuya Vern bringing you Usapang Pangkabataan, Pass or Fail. Kaya huwag matakot mag-fail. It's part of the process, part of our growth, development. It's part of our success. To be successful, you must fail. And to fail, not only once, twice, thrice, but many, many times. But learning from our failures will usher us to become a successful person. And when we become a successful person, we learn how to become a significant one. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for listening.